What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Roster Watch. I'm Alan Seslowsky. Many of you who have been with us all offseason have stayed tuned to all of the ADP changes and storylines happening that are important for fantasy football. Many players are getting back into all of their heavy-duty research right now. What we're going to do on this video today is talk about the AFC South and some of the players, the narratives and storylines that we're following from a fantasy football perspective. The first player we're going to talk about is A.J. Brown on the Tennessee Titans. His target volume will greatly determine what his fantasy value for 2020 is going to be. Currently, A.J. Brown is getting drafted in the end of the third round. He's the wide receiver 16 overall. His standout rookie season only yielded 84 total targets. That is more like a middle-of-the-road tight end than it is an alpha wide receiver. He's currently getting drafted, as we said, as the 16th wide receiver. By comparison, last year's 16th wide receiver, Devontae Parker, got 128 targets. Now, it is reasonable to project that A.J. Brown will take a leap in skill set and also in targets. If you decide to draft A.J. Brown, you're paying full retail price and you are not getting a discount. We're going to monitor that situation all offseason and keep an eye on A.J. Brown's projected target level. The next player I'm going to talk to you about is Jonnu Smith, the Tennessee Titans tight end. Jonnu Smith is gaining popularity as an offseason sleeper pick and a late tight end. He's currently going as the 16th tight end off the board. One of our favorite strategies is to zero in on players that finished the season strong last year and project for a greater opportunity in 2020. Jonnu Smith fits the bill to a T. His position coach, Arthur Smith, is also the offensive coordinator and showed a propensity to want to feed the tight end. Now, Jonnu Smith, looking back at last year in the fantasy playoffs, weeks 14 through 16, averaged over 16 fantasy points per game. All offseason, Ryan Tannehill has been working with Jonnu Smith down in South Florida, continuing to develop that chemistry. All of this points that Jonnu Smith can be a sneaky late-round tight end for your fantasy team. Before we continue, I just want to give you a quick word about what's going on over at RosterWatch. The Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet is now available at RosterWatch.com. The revolutionary cheat sheet that changed fantasy football forever is back, only at RosterWatch.com. RosterWatch Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet. All you need to do is follow 3 simple rules. That's it. Couldn't be any easier. And an expert quality fantasy football draft is guaranteed. The Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet by RosterWatch, available now at RosterWatch.com. The last player I want to talk to you about is David Johnson on the Houston Texans. Now, the offseason trade that brought David Johnson over to the Texans was widely panned by NFL analysts and fantasy players. The trade was for DeAndre Hopkins, along with some other pieces as well. Now, the last few years, there's been no worse investment in fantasy than David Johnson. Through injury and just lack of production, he's basically been a fantasy bust. However, as we just said, David Johnson should get the first crack at the heavy workload in Houston. David Johnson is currently getting drafted in the 5th round of fantasy drafts. For those pro subscribers over at RosterWatch who use our Ultimate Draft Cheat Sheet, you'll be redirected to look at the wide receiver position to get value. So we probably won't get much David Johnson, but again, it is hard to ignore the possibility of a volume-based play with David Johnson. Okay, RosterWatch Nation, that's it for today. Remember to like and subscribe to get notifications when we go live, and leave us a comment in the video. We will comment back. Until next time, goodbye.